sweet salty tears from every single annoyed Space Wolves fan that tends to bitch about how the Ultramarines always get attention because they're always on the box art, despite not knowing the fact that the Ultramarines only have one unique unit, and it can only be achieved by buying one unique character model, and instead of having them as a separate character unit and have no flavor in our army anymore because we have to be the generic ones and fit every other stereotype, instead of giving us our own personality, even though we have our own personality and we've had it for years because we had a bunch of old miniatures. But God forbid that the Ultramarines get anything unique because the fan base keeps bitching about it. So you know what, Space Wolf players?
How about a nice big cup of shut the fuck up? Think before you open your stupid mouth, jackass.
Today, we're going to be building the most iconic Ultramarines unit to ever be created, the Tyrannic War Veteran. These motherfuckers are the badass of the badass, survivors of the 3 Tyrannic Wars, and quite frankly seems like a thing they should be producing, seeing as, you know, the whole 10th edition Great 4th Tyrannic War. I mean, at this rate we're gonna end up becoming Bug Exterminator. And because GW doesn't have the balls to do it, I'm gonna make my own. One of the most important things I'm gonna try to do with this kit bash is I'm going to try to make these Tyrannic War Veterans look firstborn. The basis for this kit is the new multi-part Sternguard Veteran kit, which is quite frankly fabulous. Now, it is a bit harder to kit bash than traditional firstborn kits, but it's no harder than any other Primaris kit. And I'm happy I didn't have to pay for this because I got it through Ho Ho Hobby Vice's Secret Santa. First thing I do is I'm gonna take apart this kit and see how flexible it is. How far can I stretch this sumbitch? What the kit offers and see how I can put this together wrong. Then I'm gonna look at the book and see how to put it together right, and see just how much flexibility I have in between those things to do this kit bash. The first one I kicked off was the Sergeant. First of all, these models just blow me away with how much detail it is. It feels like each one is an intricate character model that would be fabulous on its own, let alone every single one in the squad being that hot. After clipping, I used my Tamiya cement for plastic, or plastic cement, and make sure to push and hold. I'm going to make sure to hold it together to try to get a really good bond between those pieces. The next thing I did was reach into my bits area, and I pulled out the Ultramarines upgrade from GW. However, this is a firstborn sprue, because I'm trying to make these look firstborn, which I also got this from the Ho Ho Hobby Vices. This is where I clipped off one of the Sergeant's heads and used it on this Sergeant to give it more of a Roman aesthetic feel. Now, let's get into some slicing and dicing. I clipped off the power sword from the sprue, so next thing you're going to do is you're going to cut off the hand, but you're going to make sure to do it at an angle to where your camera's not going to pick it up so nobody sees what you're doing. This is the Sergeant's power sword, but it's kind of looking more broadswordy, which doesn't fit our Roman aesthetic, really. We're going to be using that Gladius that has an actual Ultramarines logo. After I had flattened the hand, now this new bit will sit flush and actually add to the whole Ultramarine aesthetic that I'm working on here. The next thing we're working on is his bolt gun, and I'm going to start with the bolt pistol arm off the sprue. However, I don't really like that it has a bolt pistol on it, so I'm going to use the same method as I did in the other arm and cut the hand off. Next, I'm going to take a 30k bolter, and then I'm going to stick that on. Now, you can build the rest of the bodies like this, and I did. However, there was one in particular I spent a little extra time on, and I was actually inspired by Cult of Paints to try something different that I hadn't done before. Now, I had found this chest while I was building it, and it looks kind of bland, and I don't like how it looks. And I kinda decided to make it look more bland. Can you really blame me though? My favorite flavor of ice cream is vanilla. This next step seems to be a bit overlooked, but it's really important for people to understand to try to make these look firstborn. One of the most distinct parts of armor that's overlooked is the knees. If you look at the Primaris knees compared to Firstborn knees, they look drastically different. But as you can see, I'm coming in with my clippers and I'm cutting just above where the ribbit, for lack of a better way of phrasing, meets the knee. Then I'm going to come in with my hobby knife and shave it evenly and then use my sanding stick to sand it down to make a smooth knee, like previously stated. I'm stealing another idea from another content creator, but I don't know where I got this from, is to actually use the cement and apply it thinly over the shaved area to make sure it makes an even knee. Obviously, I'm also doing this for both knees on all my guys in this kit. However, it could be interesting if you only did it for one knee. For this specific miniature, I want him to be a veteran of the Death Watch, so I want to make his armor a bit more bland, trying to fit his personality. But I also want to include some of the Death Watch in him. So I take the chainsword arm from the kit, cut off that hand, and I'm going to replace it with a Xenoblade. You can find this in the Death Watch kit or 3D print it. Now at the onset of this project, I've decided to revamp my painting style for my Ultramarines, so I'm actually going to be using these bases as temporary bases. So I'm going to put super glue on this base that will easily break off if you just put it in the freezer for around 30 minutes. Now we're actually going to have to pause here for a second before I can continue. Thank you, Editing Alpha. This is definitely not Alpha from the past that's at fucking 3 AM because I have an abhorrent sleep schedule and can't go to bed normally. Anyways, this is literally what I am going to do. Just hit this STL file here, just hit download here, just hit download here again, download it into my files, open the file, make sure my files aren't being shown on screen, hope Cheetahbox actually opens, come here, hit the extract button, extract the files. This is essentially just making them large. Get the new files here, close the old files tab, open this file, highlight everything, throw it in Cheetahbox. Load everything up, double check that these guys are good. And hit auto support. Hit slice. Set how long you want your exposure for. I'm going for 4 seconds. Hit save. That's all you need to do. 3D printing is not this hard. It is really fucking simple. It's amazing being able to 3D print things that Games Workshop doesn't have the balls to print because they only think about their bottom line instead of a creative adventure. With that out of the way, we can actually get back to the project. Starting with this helmet, and I really love it. You know, it has the whole Victrix Honor Guard look to it. You know, it looks really awesome, and I love the Eagle Roman aesthetic, so I had to use it. The next thing I did is I gave him a combi bolter. I obviously used the plastic cement where I can because it provides a better bond. However, because I am working with resin bits, the plastic cement's just not going to work on them, so I'm going to have to use everybody's beloved super glue that definitely didn't get on my hands, and I thought about ending it all halfway through working with these because super glue is just fucking annoying. And then I put 2 carapace shoulder pads on him, and it really works to bulk out those shoulders. Finally, I stole from another kit again. You can get these backpacks from any Firstborn kit. I specifically stole it from my Salamanders project. They're not being used, might as well actually use them somewhere. But you could also 3D print these, or literally go to any other Tactical Marines kit and just get the Firstborn backpacks from there. I decided to add this Mark IV with a laurel wreath because it seemed ultramarine-y. I don't know how I'm going to paint it, but it did seem ultramarine and the Mark IV looks really good, so I put it on him. Then I put the Death Watch shoulder pad over his chapter arm like they would have in the Death Watch. Then I put his arms on, both of them having carapace armor on him, finishing him off with another Firstborn Mark VIII backpack. We're going to be finishing up this Power Fist guy. Then we're going to be using another Eagle helmet. However, this was pulled from a Heresy design, full design. I decided to give him much more of an asymmetrical design in only having one shoulder be the carapace and the other shoulder being another eagle icon, really leaning in to the old Heresy look. Finally, we get to the heavy bolter. I wanted it to be a much older design, so instead of using the really nice designed one I have in the kit, I 3D printed one that's closer to what a Heresy bolter would look like. And with all that, the unit was done. Well. Looks like we've come to the end of this pitiful excuse of a cinematic masterpiece. Now, before you go, obviously I think you're going to want to see the miniature. But they've already kind of hit the painting table, and you know what I'm gonna do? I'll sneak into the painting table, and I might just be able to get backstage to show you a few snapshots of these models. If you're going to be one of the few VIPs that actually get to see these guys painted up awesome and how to do it, well, you're gonna have to like and subscribe and come back for the part 2 to this video.